guys, can y'all see me? All right. Yes, I'm back. I know some of you guys seen this box, but I wanted to make a video just to give you an idea of how exactly I made it. It's a long story. Every time I eat Domino's, what I do is I tear the, Domino's, your pizza box. So I tear the cover because that's the only piece that's not dirty, because the rest of it is absorbed by oil and all that, and you can't really use it for your projects and, the ends and all that. So before I throw the boxes, I'll remove the top pieces and I'll keep them. So I had a stack and I was thinking, like, what can I do with cardboard box? I don't know, maybe I'll enter it in a competition or something like that, I don't know, but I didn't think of it. I just went with my heart and I said, okay, let's make a box. Okay, so what I did was I made this cute little box. Okay, and literally I actually used two die pieces. This is the biggest square die piece I could find in my stash, and this portion over here, it's easier to see this side. This size here is the rectangular size. So again, I chose the biggest piece I can get. So what I did was I cut two pieces of this, and 4 pieces of the small rectangular. Then I took that was cut from the pizza boxes. For the inside, to make the actual the box itself, I actually use a cereal box for that, and that's how I got this box done. Because there's a lot of engineering went inside here to make it this sturdy, because if you notice, the box is quite thick. And what I did was, for the insides, because I wanted to make sure that this is like 100% mixed media project, and a recycled, not exactly a mixed media, because I just wanted to make sure that it's a recycled project. But so what I did was I used an old book. I always actually have an old book with me. Give me a moment, let me see if I can find it. I cannot find it at the moment, and my table is pretty messy, so you can see that it's covered. So what I did was I used the book, the story book. It's a very, very old story book, and it has natural, brownish at the sides and all that, which was really good. Like, for example, this portion here, I didn't do anything, it was natural. So I used that to cover the insides. Even at the sides here, I used them. So if you can see that the small little bits pieces, it's because of that. So once I did that, then I had this marvelous idea stating that, okay, why don't I turn this into a full-fledged mixed media project? And I wanted to have this look. I didn't want it to be that sweet box. I mean, some of the boxes, you guys have a lot of these nice craft papers and all that, and I can make it look sweet or maybe shabby chic kind of thing. But I wanted to go beyond the norm. I wanted to have something that's like, imagine you finding a treasure box in a dirt and you clean it up, you still have the dirt, but the box looks very rustic, very vintagey, and very the mud or sand here and there. So I wanted to have that kind of look on my box, and I was thinking how I can achieve that. I'm not really good with the distress paints, so even though I had them for some time, but I hardly use them. So this time what I did was I have the distress inks, which I used, distress paints, which I used previously, which is one of my favorites. Then I also have this distress stains. So what I did was I only have about 5 of this, and most of them are like this is tea dye. I used all the colors. This is dried marigold. This is gathered twigs. Let me see the other 3 colors. This is black soot. Black soot. And this one here, pumice stone. And this one, the last one I have, is ground Expresso. These are the only ones I could find locally over here at that point. So sorry, I accidentally stopped the video. So these are the only ones I could find at that point of time. So I only got distress paints, and I have pretty cool colors from the distress paints. The ones that I used here mostly was Tarnished brass, antique bronze, rusty hinge, and I think once in a while I used a dab of, though I couldn't really get the color out, but I used hickory smoke. I mean, if you guys have been using TimHoltz, distress ink paints or pads or whatever, the colors are same. It's just that it comes in different forms. So you just have to know which color that you want to use, and you can use that. All right. So what I did was, whatever colors I showed you is what went in here. So I made this box, and then I started getting a bit creative here and there. So if you notice the insides, I didn't do much. I distressed here and there. I made sure that it has some tear marks. Okay, I probably need to do a little bit of touch up here, but this is what it is. Then what I did was I kind of found an odd stamp in my box, in my stash, and I just stamped them around, so to make it, to give it more texture or I don't know how you call that, just to give it more character. Yeah, I would say that it gives more character. It's not just about words and all that, right? So you have that. Then I found this nice little thing, so I thought, okay, why not? So I distressed I used the hickory smoke for this, so it's not too white. It looks a bit what they call that, ash grayish kind of thing, and I just left it. So I say, okay, let's give it a little bit, just a little bit. It looks like as though I found this box and started doing some designs on it. And on the front, so this is the front, and here you can actually slot. I will create the, what they call that, the tag to be slotted in here. So this is where you can slot in the tag, okay, for a name or whatever you want to put in. So the back, as usual, it's the same thing. I use the same concept. I use the stamp in here. This heart, if you notice, is actually a metal, and it's actually a recycled material. All your tea lights that you have, one of the tea lights that I had in my hometown, it had this heart shape around it. It's actually both sides, and one of it I used it for my cards, and this the other piece. I still got a few more. I'm just waiting for the light to get spoiled so I can flick it from my mom. So I use that. These are some of the paper flowers I found in local shop. You see, these are the roses. This one, smaller one is pink. I probably could use it, but I only got 5 pieces of that. I wanted it for some other project, but I used the roses. I still got a big stash. This one here, the metal pearls, I don't know who gave it. Somebody gave it to me. One of my contacts gave it to me and said, use it for your artwork. So it's actually very pearlish looking. So what I did is I used the stains to make it look like, if you actually look at nuts and all that that's hanging on from the tree, they don't really look brown or white. It looks some ripe, some half ripe and all that. So I used the different colors to give the different glow on it, at least to try to emulate what's there. So this is just a string I tied, okay, to give it more interest. Then even this was a recycled net. I can't remember where I think it was some pouch or something like that. It came with something that I purchased a long time ago, so I decided to use. So this gave a little bit more texture on it. This one here is actually the glow, those things that you stick on your wall to make it glow at night. So this was all like, I bought it for my wall. I thought of getting creative, but they didn't really glow much, so I said, the heck with it, I'm going to use it for my art project. So I used it as a base. Then on top of that, actually, this is TimHoltz Flutter stamp set. It's somewhere around here. I can't find it. It's Flutter stamp set. Okay, so I used the die to cut it out, and I even colored it with my distress crayons. I got tons of distress crayons. I got the whole entire. I'm only missing set 2. I have the whole entire thing. I finally got it. So, and I kind of heat embossed it with clear embossing powder, also Ranger. So every product I use in here was Ranger. I just wanted to use my products, and I felt that Ranger products was the best for this kind of project. Even the bottom, something is sticking. Even the bottom I kind of did. I wanted to put something in here, but I couldn't get a picture. So eventually, probably when I get one, I probably will finish up the bottom part of it. All right, let's go to the side. So this one's here, the pictures here, I found some cheap stickers online a long time ago, so I bought them. It looked really cool and I kept them. I have like 52 pieces of this, I think 52 or 32, I can't remember. So I said, okay, let's put it in here, distress the edges and add it in here. So it kind of fitted because you see the colors kind of matched. And again, these are all the test pieces I was doing when I got my Flutter set, and again it was painted with distress markers, distress crayons actually. I can't remember the colors. I think literally there's 4 or 5 colors in here. And this one also heat embossed with clear embossing powder. This is a upcycled item. So whenever you purchase, I'm just going to use this as a sample. This was something else. I think these were my gel pens or something like that. When you purchase your products, right, you have this casing. So what will happen is this one doesn't have that, but at the bottom here they have like it's actually for your pen holder kind of thing. So I thought, why not upcycle this, and you can slot your pen, your color pens in here. Okay. The bag, I haven't figured out what to do with the bag. Again, this came with the background. This is actually an upcycled envelope. Yes, it's an upcycled envelope, wedding envelope. So I pasted this. So probably I might just do a little bit, or probably I will put in a notepad or something like that. I don't know. I am still trying to figure out. At this side here, what I did was I made a slot. These are journals. Okay, these journals actually came from, this is an envelope. These journals, actually journal cards, is part of Rosiesstudio journal card sets. I think I have 2 or 3 of her sets. So I thought, okay, maybe why not use them. So what I did was I just distressed the edges. Some of them were already came in like, I don't know whether I distressed this. Yes. No, this came in like this, and this one here I distressed the edges. So I'm just adding them in here, a few pieces. You can't add much because I didn't make big, it's not big enough. And I also added an envelope, and this was a set of envelopes I found online as well. These were all like less than $1, so I just purchased them when I see them, because I mean it was on my local online shopping mall, so it's not that expensive. Give me a moment, I don't know what's causing me to have a problem. Okay, now I can slot it in. Okay, and I remember I used this on my previous project, and I realized that I didn't use one of the pieces, so I said, okay, let's cut it into half. Then it looked like an eye, and say, okay, let's not let's not go. Why not? Right? So you know, there you go. It's a googly eye at the side that's looking at you while you journal. By the way, guys, I'm not a journaling person. I just found this project to be really, really inspiring. In fact, one of the person who actually inspired me to journal, I mean, I've had a lot of people that have been asking me, my local crafters over here, these ladies, they love to do journal, but my inspiration came in from Rados. She, if you watch her videos, you'll understand she literally can journal anything, and her napkin journals are my favorite. They are really, really awesome. She can just use a napkin journal and she goes into another world, like a mini Picasso. So I call her a journal Picasso. So just check out her videos. She's the one who actually inspired me. So what I did was I took it one step, I made it mine. I took the idea and I turned it into mine, because I'm not a person that actually loves to journal. I don't know why. I love to fill up the techniques and all that, but I don't like to go all the way until the end, to the point where you put the wording, the sentiment, then you put the picture and all that. No, I just like to prepare the background and let someone else fill up the pages and all that, right? So I know journaling is not supposed to be like that, but a lot of cases, not everyone can create like things like this from the scratch. Why I'm calling this journaling, you will understand later. I will show it to you. So now again, all my roses, I haven't figured out what to do with this piece yet, so it's still dangling there. I like the bell, but I need to figure out what needs to be done. So I added a little bit of metal embellishment over here. Again, it's the coordinating stickers, like I told you. What I did was I aged the thing to blend it more with the background, so it looks right now like it was it came with a box, even though there's a little bit of shine, but it came with a box. So that was the idea. Again, I use another TimHoltz. Probably I'll change the butterfly, I don't know, something, I mean, unless I add something blue in here, it doesn't really match, so I might remove it eventually. And this cute little handle, what I did was, there's a hue in it. That means if you look at the edges, right, it's a bit black. I took a long time just to paint this handle to make it look like it's old, it's tarnished, you know, that kind of feeling. Even with the tarnished brass, I still have to add a little bit more color. So I mixed 4 or 5 colors of that distress stains and paints that I have to achieve this. Let me see whether I can get it close up. Okay, to achieve this feel, you can see all the bubble effects, little bit of gold underneath, so you can see all that darkness here. I think it's very dark. You can see the darkness here. Yeah. So to get this, and of course when I pull it, it will open up, and you already saw the inside. So it got me thinking, okay, yeah, I did the box, so what now? What's the next step? Then I decided that, okay, this is where the journaling comes in. Why not make mini journals, art journals? And I mean, maybe I don't like to finish them, but probably I can create them for somebody, or I don't know, maybe I'll keep it. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. What I know is I had this idea, so what I started doing, let's keep this aside first before that. What I started doing, right, I started creating these little boxes. So this is supposed to go in here. Okay, so this is why I call them journaling. So this is supposed to go in here. I created signatures. Okay, initially I did, I'll show you the steps. I created like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think. Oh yeah, I got more. Okay. 5 signatures. I'm going to start with this because I wanted you guys to see how it looked before I turned them. So remember those coffee dyed, tea dyed paper that I had previously? So everything, I literally brought everything out from my stash. Okay, so this was the coffee tea dyed. So if you notice that, you know, naturally it has all this. And these are all wedding inlets, 100% wedding inlets. And if you notice, I didn't, I mean, some of them have torn edges and all that. It's okay because you don't need it to be perfect. This is supposed to be vintage field and old and that kind of thing. And half these things probably you will have to cover them up because they're pretty thin. And dealing with recycled items has its disadvantage because you have to know what works with each paper, or you can cover them up. I'll come back to that in a while, right? So each one of them, so what I did was in the later stages I had only 3 pieces where it's folded half and I sewed the middle. Okay, so all of them 3 pieces. So if you see, this is all the big effect. Okay, this is a different type of paper. All these were, most of this was like, this is all from the baked effect. Okay, all wedding inlets, greeting cards, old greeting cards inlets and all that. Some of them are pretty thick, some of them are very, very thin. Okay, so I did 10 signatures. Okay, then I was thinking, what next? Because I didn't have like a preempted idea, I couldn't see the picture, so I said, okay, fine, for this project I just have to go with the flow. So this is what I did, I went with the flow. So I created this. The next thing I did was I just randomly went on few of my, another 5 of them, I did things like this. I mean, yes, it looks, some of it looks really like horrible and all that, but no, it's not complete. It's just like, look at this. What I did was I just went into my stash, I found this paper and it worked. It's actually a red color, but what I did was I stressed it out a bit, and all of them I stressed them out. Okay, this is actually, it's not even an actual craft paper. This is actually an origami paper. It's quite thin, so what I did was stick them to a cardboard piece and I stick it here. Again, I wanted to have texture, so I purposely made sure that it's crumpled. Okay, purposely I tore the paper and all that. Okay, I don't even know where I was going with it. Okay, you see, it looks like as though, you know, coffee poured on it, that kind of thing. So different colors and all that. I even used this, so this looks more like yeah, it became really like you know, it had that moss and all that kind of thing. It's supposed to start this way. Okay, this was actually very white. I didn't want the white, so I stained it to make it, to give it look, to give it the old look, and I distressed the edges. So all of them I distressed the edges. Even this, if you notice, I'm trying to make it as natural as possible. Some of it I didn't do a good job, but you know, you still have to, you know, this is just the first part of it. I try to distress them out. The middle, normally I don't touch it yet because we want the big piece. Okay, all of them, different pieces. I even purposely tore the paper. Same thing over here. Okay, I kept this because you never know, made especially by fall. Okay, you wouldn't know what you're going to use it for, so whatever ideas that you get, just go with it. Most of these were the paper cardstocks. Some of them were Rosiesstudio, some of them were from UW. These are the local ones that I can find here, and some of them are actually origami papers. The flowers, most of these are origami papers. Again, I just cut. I mean, I didn't even cut. I tore the half of the page and I pasted here. Okay, some of them are actually very nice, the origami papers. Okay, I love this because of the map, so I say, okay, I'm going to leave it there for the time being. Okay, the reason why the patches here and there is because of the glue. I actually used white glue for it. I diluted the white glue and I used it, and the reason why I did that, because the papers stick very well, and of course it will create this kind of effects if the, you know, if you accidentally have glue on top, but that's okay because it just adds textures and creates more interest on that page. Okay, so I love the effect on this. Okay, and this is one of my favorite. I just have to distress the edges, and distressing the edges makes a lot of difference. So what's next after I did that? So the next one. So this was more like a trial piece for me, and I didn't use so much of the papers. I just had whatever. So if you notice, the inside is gold, so it looks like the inside was well kept, but the outside I distressed the edges. Yeah, of course. It's like a puzzle. Later I will do it. So, you know, I layered them. So do I have to do more things? Yes, I have to do more things. Okay, so I just stamp them. Okay, I have no idea. Like this one here, this is actually an envelope, recycled envelope, wedding envelope. So, you know, it had this natural what they call that, pattern on it, and you know, it blended well. It really blended well. So it all goes up. It's up to you how you are blending the paper and all that. And yes, of course, I had to touch up with the distress paints and markers and all kinds of stuff. That's where your work comes in. It's not just like, you know, paste and done. No, you still have to do a lot of work. And there's a major difference. Like if you notice, right, this portion here, and I think this is the one. Is it? You see? The difference is a lot. When you stamp something on it and without stamping, there's so much of a difference. Like here, it kind of blended a bit with the background, and this still looks like a bit isolated. So you have to play around, and doing these kind of things, journaling or whatever, testing out, whether even if you're just doing it for yourself, it really helps a lot. Here I used a different technique. I used a decoupage paper to do this, and I haven't done anything. I still have to do painting and all that. Purposely tore out. Probably I'll add another paper. I don't know. You guys saw one of my pieces, right? The one where I used the Liquitex ink. It's something like I used this paper, and it turned out really awesome. But I had to do a lot of things. So here I did a little bit different. So if you notice, right, this one here is actually a ribbon. I can't reach it. Just give me a moment, guys. Okay, so this is actually a ribbon. I got it from, for the locals, you can go to the DIY Malaysia. I mean, in Malaysia, I got it from DIY. So what I did was, this is actually a ribbon where, you know, your Christmas ribbon and all that. So what I did was, I just cut the edge and I used the middle, and that created the interest. and it doesn't look too shiny. At the same time, it fitted the background very well. So here I had pink, so what I did was I wanted kind of a little bit matching, so I added the pink. I didn't want to do exactly the same, so I kind of just stamped on this, and you can put a photo or anything in here. It's up to you. Probably I'll have to do more work in here. I don't know. Let's see how it goes, right? So same thing over here. I just use I use the bigger pieces over there, right? So these are the leftovers. So I just use the leftovers back in here. Same thing. I mean, I kind of messed up this, so I have to rework. This is still work in progress because I don't know. Here I used a wax paper. So underneath, what I did was I die cut this piece for something else previously. So this was the negative side of it. So what I did was, okay, why not just use it underneath? So what happened was it created a texture by itself. So if you don't try out, you will not know what happens for each of the items, right? So the last part I wanted to show you was, it's not 100% complete, but it's almost 98% complete. So this was my mini junk journal that happened from all this. The only difference is this has more pages. That is 6, this is 8 pages, and I didn't like 8 pages because it started like becoming big and bulging up too much, and because the papers are not thick papers, it started tearing here and there. So I had to do a lot of stuff to make sure that the pages don't tear. So I kept it to 6 so that it doesn't bulk up much. So this is all the goodies that I had. This is paper flower. So what I did was I used these are actually 2 different flowers. So if you notice that these are my roses, I just used the middle of the roses. So I kind of destroyed 3 roses, but I managed to salvage the 3. So what I did was I just sticked it here. This, as you guys know, what they call that, I forgot the name. Dang. I bought this, but I also have an upcycle one where my sister-in-law gave it to me. That came in, my brother gave her a bouquet of roses, and it had that this material in it. So I do have that one big piece. I didn't want to use it here because I just needed one small one. So what I normally do is sometimes you just remove the the things. And I always watch Siddhartha. He's one of the he's awesome. He's like God when it comes to creating all this kind of stuff. And I noticed that he doesn't he does it in an artistic way. So I tried to emulate what he does. So I didn't throw all these mini bits and pieces. So what I did was I just added interest to them. I added interest by, like instead of using my normal strings and all that, so I say, okay, why not I do this? So sometimes it turns out nice, sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to play around. Even the background, I actually had a plain background, but it kind of like mixed with I accidentally sprayed something and it got it on the page. So what I did, I changed the color, made it green and all that. So if you notice that the background looks very different from the paper because the work that I did. And of course I added more interest. If you notice, I even add all this. This is actually string. And I just added. So what happened was I literally went through all my stash. When you're doing projects like this, it makes you go through all your junk stash that you have. I don't want to do this. Show you. This is literally all the jewelry pieces. Some are mine, some was given to me. Okay, clips, broken pendants. This is a broken earring. I think this was mine. This was given to me, so it was a broken pendant. It's supposed to have something dangling, I think she gave me. She's one of the bridal artists, and she has a lot of all this stuff. You see all that broken pieces. Okay, this is a broken. Actually, when I went to Greece a few years ago, and this was one of the broken my fridge magnets. Okay, so if you notice, all these are jewelry pieces. So I have 2 boxes of it. Some were given, some was mine, some from my cousins. Everybody contributed, so they didn't want to throw away all their nice little jewelry. So I think this was part of a watch piece. I don't know who gave it to me. I found it in there, and it added interest. And on top of here, this is another, this is the roll. I found it again on my online shopping mall. Okay. It's a bit hard. It's not soft, it's a bit hard. But, if you use white glue and all that, that's perfect. They come in different colors, but, as a when you have that many paints around, all you need to do is have a white or beige, and you can change it to whatever colors you want. Right? So that's my first page. And just a reminder, always do the front page the last. The reason why it's a bit smooshed is because I did it first, then when I was doing the insides, it got smooshed. So either use plastic flowers, that way it doesn't get smooshed, or if you're using paper flowers, don't stick them until towards the end of the project. Okay, probably that will help. Okay, this is one of my favorite insides, like this portion over here, the inside, right, is exactly what I did on the other project. I just stick the papers, and here I used, remember I had this, this is pretty famous, I think. I already made 2 or 3 projects with this. I still have not much, I think I got a meter left. So this was from an old dress. What I did, I used this stick. I didn't do much here, I just stick. And for this portion, I didn't use my, I actually used my Dylusions Distress ink sprays. So I think I used cut cross, and I think I used my melted chocolate. These were some of the sprays. This was my first ink paints and ink sprays that I bought. I just have a few, but I kind of like use them, and I think I mixed them a little bit with that's my sunshine, pure sunshine. And did I mix anything more? Yeah, I think that's all the colors I used, the 3 colors, and the rest of it, because it's the lace is on a tulle material, so it's see-through, so the rest of it was inherited from the background. You see, it was inherited from the background, so it gave its natural thing. So you can put a photo here, and work is done. And because the middle, sometimes because you're pasting papers and all that, right, so it doesn't cover all the way to the middle, so I have to get a little bit crafty with the middle. And yeah, if you notice here, right, I added a pendant. It was actually a keychain from a bag, an old bag. So what I did was, one end I added the button. I have all these buttons which I bought previously for my projects. These are all the leftovers. I used that, and here I took the same rows and I added them here. Of course, this time I stiffened the paper rows a bit so that it doesn't get smooshed. So this is the paper rows, and how I tied it, because I made a loop over here and I just looped. I think I need to close the loop a bit better, so I just looped it here, and that's it. That gave its own hue. So the left over here, I just opened up the thing a bit more so that it's much more nicer. It doesn't look like a string jutting out. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is my favorite. Okay, this one was truly a labor of love, because it took me a while. The background here, there's 2 things that you can use, but this one you can use tissue. Not exactly tissue, paper towel, kitchen paper towel, right? You have to use kitchen paper towel, or here I use actually the facial tissue. I had this entire thing which I bought. It's a cheap one which I bought for art purposes. I never used them. The other day I just took it out and I started pulling them apart, and I said, okay, let's see what happens if you create that texture. And I pasted it in here with lots of white glue. And while the glue was drying, I diluted my glue. I mean, I had this one entire bottle of white glue. I diluted them with a quarter of water, so it acts almost like Mod Podge, and it sticks very well. You can't even remove it. It's that awesome. So while it was half drying, I took my Distress Sprays again, dilution. So here mostly it was Pure Sunshine and my melted chocolate. I sprayed it in here to get this hue. So I made sure that the background is still visible. And after that, what I did was, if you notice all these marks, this is actually TimHoltz. The Ethmology set has that the sentiment sticker. It's that. I don't know where did I keep. Okay, sorry guys, I can't find it at the moment to show you guys. I kept it somewhere. Oh yeah, I found it. It's far away. That's okay. So, and then lastly I decorated it with a broken earring. So it had yellow and it was tarnished. I didn't do anything. I just stick them in here and it fitted well. That's the whole entire idea. You just use what you have. Sometimes you have to get a little bit crafty. Sometimes you just have to use everything that you have in your stash and it fits perfectly well. This is my favorite page. And I'm not giving this to anyone. This is mine. So here, this was one of the pages where I didn't mix it. I didn't do anything. I didn't color it. And I just etched the sides. I layered them upon paper, and this paper was from Rosiesstudio. What I did was I cut, it was like one whole piece with all these nice details in it, so I just cut them based on squares or whatever they were and etched the sides and I stick them in there, and it fitted so well with this background. And this part here is because the paper tore and I etched it still and I sticked it. So if you notice, right, everything that you do makes a difference in your project. And because of this orange, I wanted to bring the page up. And again, this is from the Flutter set. I painted it with my distress crayons. And this one here, let me see. Yeah, this is clear embossing powder. I used two. One was clear and the other one I used holographic powder. So I just have to know which one was which. So this part here, this page was very painful. I made mistakes multiple times. So what I did was I said, okay, fine, let's try out differently. So I had this decoupage paper. So I decoupaged this on this page. Then I took my stencil. So if you notice all these marks, right, I took my stencil and I took my distress stain. I started going through the stencil and I went through a few times until I got these marks, and I loved the effect of it. So I said, okay, fine, I'm happy with it finally. And I just added these strings, my bird nest strings, which, you know, Flo actually named them bird nest, as some of you have seen in my postings before. It's a favorite string, so I always use it. And I used one of the I think this is a bee from the Ethmology set, and I added here. Okay, and the page is done. Yeah. Sometimes it's very simple things. Sometimes it's a lot of technique. You just have to figure things out. What am I doing? Okay, so this page here, if you notice, I can't remember how I didn't do anything with the background. The background came in like this. This was the green. The green was from the what they call that, from the origami paper. Okay, so I kind of like this, and I added so this time what I did was I added a strip in between to give it more brown, so that the whole end, because otherwise it'll be very green, right? So I stick that the brown paper with the gold stars in the middle, and on top of that I added this thing. Okay, this piece, there's two pieces over here, so I cut them in equal piece. Sorry if the camera is moving because my tripod is not stable today. So I stick them, and then what I did was I took my this was this Dylusions ink spray. So I took them, I just slightly made it a little bit watery, and I added the thing to the string. So what happened was the color started running through. So it was between blue, London blue, and cut grass, and the color started running through because of that. So this was created because the string started moving the water, and it started absorbing the colors in. So this is how I got the page done. Then on top of that, before the one thing I forgot to tell you, the stamping was done before I cut this piece. I can't remember what stamp I used, but it was from my stash. I used one of it, and I added with the clear droplets that I got from Flo. She gave me one big pack, so I have a lot. And this one here, again, this was the facial tissue, the leftover piece I had for one of it, so I didn't want to throw. I colored them, and you know, if you notice there's green, this one, it was randomly colored. I didn't, you know, look at it. And I found this orange flower in my stash, and I stick them to it. And because I like to buy all these small little stickers, and I found this blue jay. I don't know, somehow it fitted in here, but I had to fuzzy cut it from the sticker because each sticker has one bird in it and it comes in different colors. So what I did was I think it's a blue jay, maybe, I don't know. I just called it blue jay. I sticked him here and it just fitted well, and this is how I got this page done. The next one here, this is not a complete page, but this is how it looks. Again, decoupage. And then I didn't use a one full paper. I stripped them, and then I added my what they call this, checkered. This is actually brown checkered ribbon, and then sprayed. This paper does not absorb water or anything easily. So what I did was I just sprayed the ink and let the ink dry naturally. So that's the reason why I sprayed them with this is my favorite. Mata was recommending this. So Mata Marry Small Art, she was using this a lot, and that's when I realized that this was the best white spray that I've seen so far, because it doesn't absorb the ink underneath and it dries white. Even if you make a mistake, if you use this white spray, you can actually you can actually salvage your project and, you know, add the colors back. So this is really good. So what I did was I just sprayed, and if you notice that, you know, it just dried off as it was. It was awesome. I was just trying out this. This one here is again the same thing. I used origami paper, and then I found this mat. These were all the old coffee, what they call that, table mat? The one, coasters. Crap. Sorry guys, coasters. I was actually very tired today, so I came back home, I slept, and I got up within 2 hours, so I didn't know what to do. That's the reason why I decided to do this video. So don't mind me, it's 2:30 a.m. in the morning, so you know how that goes. So what I did here was I took the coaster, then this was given to me again by my sister-in-law, that came in with a flower wrapper. And it had the word home, and I felt that it was very nice, so I pat a little bit of it and I sticked it here. And again, this was one of the birds, and I sticked him here, and it fitted well. So I say, okay, this too would be very good for photos. Okay, this portion here, I don't know what I was doing with this, and you know, if you notice, right, even if you distress the edges, sometimes the edges it looks very fake. So what you have to do is you have to play with the paints to get this kind of mark, so it looks as though, right, you know, it looks more natural. Okay, so some places are dark and all that. So I had again another piece of, you know, similar material, and I just like sticked it here, and I found this word with happy day and kind of love this. So probably I will put something in here, but I don't know, you know, like I told you guys, right, I'm not a journaling person, so let's see how it goes. Yeah, this portion here, yeah, if you know, I forgot this portion here I sticked, and if I think I stick and here what I did was I probably will put something to dangle, or maybe not, I don't know. I just added something in the middle to hold the middle together and to give more interest. There's one part I forgot and I missed out because I don't know how I did that. So this was the middle. This is a crepe paper, but this is not the regular soft crepe paper. This was quite thick and sturdy, and I liked it, and I bought the white. So what I did was I just took my paint brush, and I took my Gathered Twigs Distress Stain, and I went from left to right, left to right, left to right, and it created more like a 3-bark kind of feel. And I just aged the sides, you know, to make it look like a 3-bark. And I felt that this was already perfect, or was already good, and just add a little bit of yellow here and there, okay, to give the yellowish kind of feel. It was really nice that I didn't want to do anything yet, so I don't know, maybe this can be used for photos, or maybe I really don't know, but it was so pretty by itself, so left it like that for the time being. Okay, so this is where we skipped. Okay, we went here. So the last portion, well, it's not last yet. So this portion here is not last yet. I'm sorry guys, it's a bit long video because I'm going through the whole entire thing. Here, decoupaged a napkin. Okay, this is a napkin, this is a napkin, and this is actually TimHoltz butterfly flutter set. So what I did was I decoupaged this. Then I found this matching butterfly that I had, and this had okay, this is the one with the holographic powder. So if you can see the difference between clear embossing and holographic powder. Holographic powder brings out the color more, okay, and it's much more shinier. So, and it has gold in it as well here. So what I thought was, you know, when you decoupage paper, right, it actually picks up a lot from the background. So that's the reason why you're seeing this. And I had to do a lot of I have to adjust the paints a lot, the color and all that, to get this hue. So what I did was, okay, since there was 2 butterflies here, I just added 1 more at the side to give it more interest. And this turned out quite well. I kind of like this page a lot. And if you notice that I added a pin, and what I did, I just put a bell because I like bell. So even it's the one bell over here, that is really good for me. Okay, I loved it. This again I decoupaged. I actually used 2 different edge pieces. It's actually very white, so I kind of added color to give this you know, to make it look like really old kind of thing. Then I had this smudged piece, and I thought, okay, for some reason I don't know why it fitted well with this background, so I sticked it here. It's actually a rose. Okay, the one thing that I did was I found this dried rose. I don't know, dried flower. This is like a common flower in Malaysia. You can find it at all time, but I don't know how it ended up in my house. I was seeing it lying around, so what I did was, okay, let's get it into my journal. It's even when the flower is on the plant, it looks almost like it's dried. It's what they call that. It has that dried kind of texture on it. I don't know whether you guys can see. Let me see. Okay, so whether when it's on the plant and even when you pluck it out, or 5 months later, it will have the same colors. It will look like the same thing. So we call it paper flowers, but it's not. It's actual flower which dried up that looks like this. This is one of my favorite flowers when I was a kid. So I said, okay, I'm going to add them here, right? Then again, I added a string in the middle just to make sure that it's sturdy. So this one here I didn't do much. So let me take it out. The background was actually made, I just slotted this because I didn't know what else to do. The background is actually one of my paper napkins, wet tissue, which I used for my, you know, to wipe out the stamps and all that. So I said, okay, fine, let's use it on this project. And this is Rose's journal card. She's a wildflower. Somehow, I don't know, the whole entire page came together, and I like the background as well. And I tried to get a little bit creative. So what I did was, this was again all the leftover, you know, threads. I don't know, from another piece, I think. I took a button. I made sure that it looks almost like a jellyfish, and that's the thing I wanted to get. Again, another one of it, and I added a paper clip here. Okay, so you never know what you can create. So at the back I haven't done it yet, so I found this piece. This came with a keychain, so the figure somehow, I don't know, the color and everything fitted with the background. And this piece of paper, okay, it's actually an origami paper again, but it was very paper thin. I didn't like it at all. So what I did was I crumpled it and I sticked it as it is. So that's how I end up getting all these textures in here. Okay, and I added in this paper clip has this. This is an old earring piece of mine. I think this is the pendant, I can't remember. And I saw this dangling thing somewhere, and I just added it. So you see, there's a lot of interest, you know, things that you can put in. Of course, if I keep building this, I probably end up with wording and all that, and this could be my art journal. I'm not sure whether I want to go down that route, or, you know, I'm just going to keep it with me for the time being. but the entire idea was and that's the reason why you need to plan things out. So even though I can't keep it in here, doesn't mean I can't use it for the other boxes that I have. So the whole entire thing here is you're supposed to be able to put this inside and cover and keep it. So this is the reason why I call it my art journal box. So it's a perfect upcycling. I won't say my project is perfect because you know there's a lot of techniques in here, and yes, it looks almost like it was a breeze. No, I took about 2 weeks to get even this much done, and I can keep doing this for the entire, I can keep building this signature after signature. This is not going to go in here, but the rest of the stuff is going in here. So when I first made it, before I made the backgrounds and all that, I could literally fit 10 signatures in here. You see, this is the whole entire thing. So I could just use it to hold that, then these things could go into somewhere else. I can just, you know, separate them out. But this is where that whole entire thing went in. See, neat, right? So even though I didn't plan it, but it kind of fitted well into what I was doing. So as long as you don't add too much of, it doesn't bulk so much, you will be able to fit it in here. Yeah. So I'm just going to flip it through one more time because some of you guys might like to see this again. Come on. So the other thing that you have to be careful is when you add earrings like this, maybe you want to stick them. Like I didn't want to stick them, but yeah, you see, it stuck to the back. So I'll stick the butterfly so that it doesn't get stick again. So let me flip through first page, second page, third page, fourth page, fifth page, 6 and 7, and 7 and 8, and this is literally 100%, not 100%, 90% upcycled. And I hope, my only wish is I hope each one of you try it out at your end. It doesn't matter what you use, but the main idea of this is use your stash, use everything from your stash. Don't be afraid to use your stash. I know some things that you want to keep for a special project and all that, that's fine, but don't be afraid to use your cardstocks, your origami papers, or even your wrapping papers. I know they are thick, but what you can do is stick them to a really thick like, you know, Domino's box or cereal boxes, then transfer it over here. If you don't want to play with paint, then you can do paper layering and just stamping. Even that by itself will create an interest. You just have to do a little bit of aging, that's about it. You don't even, like this one here, I didn't paint it at all. It's natural. The colors are because of the, you know, because of the tea dye that I did before. So I really hope you guys will try it out. By me, my best, what I'll say is, I learned a lot because of this project. I learned to use different techniques. I learned to use, even though I'm using them separately, but I never, you know, at one, imagine using them in a single project like this. I would have never thought of doing that. I always hear the same thing from all the art journals, art journaling people out there, like even Umo says the same thing, Miss Small Art, Mata says the same thing. These are the two that I really follow when it comes to art journaling and all that. All of them, they say the same thing. Do art journaling because that's the place where, because you're not going to sell them. In most cases, you're not selling them, you're keeping them for yourself. It's okay if you want to sell to people, that's fine. But in most cases, you're using it for yourself. Don't be afraid, because art journal is your own project. Like Sammy, I know you're very afraid to journal, to do art journaling. You're very afraid sometimes, you know, to go beyond that border. It's okay. Get it. Let it be messy, because the more messier it is, the more artistic it'll be. For some people, I read this from Cat Hand. Check out her. Oh yes, Cat. She does awesome small mini journals and all that. Check out her page as well. There was one quote she had in one of her videos. It was in her art journal where she found it. It said, "For some, art is messy. For others, art messy is art." Okay, so that quote made me realize that don't be afraid, because it's not about other people, it's about you, what you want to do for yourself, what you can create. If you keep listening to everyone else, you will not be able to progress. Do it because you want to do. Learn to be a bit adventurous. So what if it gets smudged? Cover it up with something, it's okay. So go ahead, go do your journaling. Don't take as long as I took, because I took 2 years before even I can come up with something like this. Go and be adventurous. Go and find what you really like. Do what you really experience it, and don't be afraid to use your products, and don't be afraid to play with the paint using your fingers, because yes, it will get dirty and all that, but art is created not just through brushes, but everything, your hand, your eyes, your anything, you know, it's through that. It's your expression, it's a language of your soul. So if you don't try to use the products that you have, you will never go, you will not be able to expand your horizon. So go out and try. And if you guys are creating something crazy like this, tag me in. You will definitely get a comment and like from me. You don't even have to go as crazy as this. You can even go by page. I know people who create like one page at a time, then over the years, over the days, they will create the signature. So you can go with that, or you can actually use an art journal book like how some of them uses. For me, I prefer this because I feel that this is me doing art journaling. Okay, so find what you like and turn art to your advantage. Use what you know and turn it into the best thing that you ever seen, because this is about you and this is about your creativity. And no matter what you do, I will love to see it done. So thank you so much. I know it's been a long video. Take care, guys. Happy crafting. See you soon. Bye.